laugh if it is for anything. Well, this is going to be Oz's first game here at Pro League. 0-0, as you guys do see so far, but he was 13-20.
Yep, this is his
Pro League seasons.
First Pro League match, but did play recently in the GSL Global Tournament. And, you know, with his performance on EGTL last round, played a lot, but did not do very well. And he's up against this guy, Rogue, 18-26, but much better this season. 8-6 and 5-3 against Protoss. A Kodes Zerg and a Zerg player who does not mess around when it comes to ZVP. And on a big map like this, I highly favor him, as do the other commentators against Oz. Somebody who really just doesn't have that much experience in Korea recently and is just not on the same level as some of these other Keswa players who have been doing this in Korea for a lot longer. They haven't been traveling overseas. They haven't been in WCS North America. As I said before, our map is Frost. Let's jump into game number 1 between IM and JINAIR Green Wings.
LTA는 SK텔레콤.
Up here in the top right, in the blue for Incredible Miracle, he is Oz.
And to the top left, in green, it's Rogue, formerly known as Savage, and also like sometimes known as Climax. Very rarely.
Sometimes.
Just every now and then.
Happens occasionally, you know.
You know, Oz, when he joined Epic's Open, he wanted to switch his ID and chose Oz eventually. That was the ID that we settled on. But he was also very adamant that he wanted to use the ID Pooh.
Pooh?
Yeah.
Really?
As in, like, Winnie the Pooh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not as in, like,
right,
feces, because,
right.
I mean, that would be...
Okay.
That
I was
would be
like, what?
inappropriate.
Really?
But, no, yeah, he was very, very sure that that's what he wanted his ID to be. And we all advised him against it, and I think everything is better as a result. There's a little bit of Oz
like
trivia.
Oz. I like Oz. I mean, even though we talked about before in the game client, you have to be OZOZ if you're using your real name, at least for the GSL.
Yeah.
Because you can't have those 3 letters, or you have to have a minimum of 3 letters if you do make a name for StarCraft.
Yeah. You know, his old ID in StarCraft 1 was Secret Protoss. And, you know, that kind of suits the man behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz kind of persona.
Yeah, actually. A bit.
He used the ID Twilight Foyu when he was playing long ago on Foyu.
That's the one I remember. I was going to mention that as well. I used to watch this guy stream all the time, actually, as a budding Protoss player.
It's really good. But he's taken his talent overseas. See what he can do here back in Korea playing for IM. And I don't know what sort of build he's going to show us in this matchup. He's going for a greedy opening so far, but he's up against a greedy opening from Rogue. And on a map like this, on this 4-player map, pretty common to see this. He scouts cross positions first, sees the Overlord, knows exactly where his opponent is, goes top left. We'll see the double hatch before pool timing, and is going to be able to continue going into full-on greed mode at home. So both these players getting the most ideal opening economy, then going into tech.
Yeah. Gonna have a bit of time, some downtime here as these guys get these builds going forward.
Yeah, will take a little while. So, so what was your favorite cartoon growing up, Brendan?
SpongeBob.
We talk about this a lot. Do
Yeah,
you have
we
a favorite episode of SpongeBob, in fact? It's hard. I know it's hard to remember specific episodes. Or is there like a specific skit or scene that you...
I don't remember the name of the episode, but the one where Squidward pretends to not like Krabby Patties.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably my favorite episode.
Mine is the one where Plankton tries to tell SpongeBob he needs to be more assertive.
Oh, yeah, that episode is so classic. That's like one of the best as well.
He just goes over there and he is like, I'm going to tie your shoes if you don't give that back. He's like, I'm wearing sandals. I don't know why, but that episode just killed me as a kid, man. I thought it was hilarious. I know a lot of people watching this are like out of the generation of SpongeBob, either too young or too old, but
I don't know. A lot of people do watch SpongeBob.
It's a funny show. I did enjoy it. I was a bit skeptical at first, actually, of watching the show, but
well, the best thing about it that we didn't even realize when we were kids, and that we only got when we watched it when we were older, is that it actually has a lot of adult humor snuck in there. That when you're a kid, you just don't really notice it. You know, like something's going on, but you can't really tell because you just don't understand.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of intelligent, like very mature humor in the show, which is something which is a reason why, like, if you haven't seen any SpongeBob, I'd recommend, at least, grabbing a couple of seasons of that and watching some of it.
Yeah, take a look. Well, we have double tech here for Oz, by the way, after he kills the Overlord, and he spreads it. It's in 2 different locations. Putting the Twilight Council at the back of the base, knowing that that's basically not going to get scouted until an Overseer comes in, and having the robotics at the front, which, he's probably totally fine with it being scouted by a Zerg. There's not much he can deny it that way. But he knows that with the scouting pattern that we saw for Rogue early on, he doesn't have any Overlords towards the top right of the base besides the one we saw earlier because he just scouted the incorrect location. So he's going to be able to hide all this tech. We have Rogue now going into his Roach Warren.
Look at this.
Wow, DT drop. That's a secret Protoss. That's a Twilight FOU if I ever saw one right there.
He heard us talking about his name, and he's like, all right, guys, all right. I'll be very secretive, and I'll throw down some Twilight tech. Now, Rogue is going to come over here, and he's going to, of course, see the front. He's going to see the Robo. He's going to be like, okay, that's a weird place for it, but, I still have to be ready for Robotech. But besides that, he doesn't know anything. He's just got to assume from here. Like, he can see one of those gateways at the front, but that's about it.
And there's no reason for him to believe that this is necessarily an Immortal push, but he's got to be prepared about that, that possibility, and also the Sentry drop possibility. But it could just be a normal third base timing. That's what the Zergling is checking for. And Blink is coming up behind this with a Forge. But the Warp Prism is now underway. Has not been scouted just yet. Actually does not have the Watchtower right now. He gets at the last second there, but I don't think it was seen. Look at this timing. Dark Shrine is done. Spines are going up right now, but that's not what he wants. And he has no detection whatsoever at this moment in time. Here we go. First round of Warpins right here. 3 DTs. He has no lair tech.
4 DTs coming in, and there's still no lair tech, still no detection. They're going to all go right into the main base and start doing a lot of damage. I don't think all of those should be going all for those probes that are running away. Definitely wants to split those up. Does put one down here. Got to snipe those Spore Crawlers. Make sure those don't get up.
Yeah, if he can actually snipe the Spores and then snipe as many hatcheries as he can, that's the ideal thing to do. If drones actually stick around, then he can kill those, but if they're running away, he's losing mining time. Nice tight wall here back at home. It looks like he's going to follow this up with an Immortal timing. He's got this wall set up with now the Nexus cannon going down. Pylons are being remade here, and he's just got way too much at home to defend. As long as he keeps that wall tight, he remakes his core as well here so he can make more sentries. Chrono boosting out yet another Immortal, and with even 1 or 2 DTs back at home, I think he should be fine against this. Even though the Lings get inside now, you need to target that Immortal. He doesn't actually target with that Immortal, but still, I think that this is going to be enough to defend this pretty easily. Let's see how much damage can actually get done by Rogue.
It really should be just because of the DTs. Rogue is going to come in here and start doing this, but once he just runs his probes away, should be totally fine, as we do see now. Everything in the main base of Oz does get cleaned up, and he's continuing to do damage now. There is 1 Spore Crawler here, and it does get rooted, but he
actually
can
target
snipe that. He has 3 DTs here.
Targets it, and it's gone. There is a lair finish
3
now.
more.
Yeah, but he's going to kill this hatch in the time it takes to build an Overseer. So the hatchery will go down, and then he's only got 1 base against a Protoss on 2. He can basically do whatever he wants. He could do an Immortal timing. Could actually do he could do an Immortal timing. He could take a 3rd base. He could make a 2nd Dark Shrine at outside at the back of the Zerg's base just to show him that that's like a structure he really particularly likes, just to remind him what he's done here. That's basically all there is to say. The Cyber Core being remade again, I think. Yeah, he's actually making a second Cyber Core just in case, I guess.
He's listening again. He's like, well, instead of a 2nd Dark Shrine, I'll just make a 2nd Cyber Core here. Starts to make an Immortal, makes a Warp Prism here. That's going to be good for that forward warp in right as he goes for that attack. And Rogue's base is just in shambles now. Even at the same time as we were watching the harass going at the natural, there was harass at the 3rd base as well until that finally the Spore Crawler went down, but still, there was one DT there doing a lot of damage as well.
Look at Rogue's face. He's like...
Yep. He's beaten, man, mentally and in the game.
Yeah, it's over. GG. Sees that Archon walking onto his creep. Types out. Turns out Twilight Protoss, or Secret Protoss, Twilight Foyu, Oz, the DT behind the curtain. Not nobody, no way, no how. You see that Warp Prism coming across the map. And there's, I mean, even if Rogue taps his Ruby Slippers together 3 times, he's not going home happy tonight.
No way. Oz, this is actually so cool. This is his first game in Pro League, and he was totally cool and calm as he went out with this build. We don't see any Protosses use DTs against Zerg here. We see it very rarely against Turn, even against Protoss here in Korea, even in especially in Pro League. We barely ever see it. And I feel like this is just something that Rogue was not prepared for at all.
DT drop is like one of the most technical builds you can do.
Yeah.
It's like you have to, you're basically building a house of cards, and if anything goes wrong, everything collapses and you lose the game. When you do a build like this, there's no way to just go that heavy into the DT tech and make a Warp Prism. The Warp Prism dies and you're like, well, I guess I just can't even really safely take a 3rd base anymore. You've got 3 base economy. I have all this tech that I can't really use anymore. And Rogue is not even gonna sit on that pillow. He's gonna put his bag on it. That's not what I expected. I thought he was just gonna sit on it.
He's angry, man. He like stomped out of that booth, and you could see the look on the JINAIR Green Wings coach's face. Like he's